Hello and welcome to another engaging weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Thanks so much for joining us. Today marks a truly special occasion as we celebrate World Migratory Bird Day. This year, the theme, Protect Insects, Protect Birds, shines a light on the crucial role insects play as vital food sources for our migratory feathered friends. It's a reminder of the intricate balance of nature and the interconnectedness of all living things. And as we continue to honor our youngest members of society, let's join hands and heart in protecting and celebrating the boundless potential of our children. Stay tuned as we embark on an intricate journey as we explore parenting and nature. Thanks again for joining us. Duck, cover and hold. It's always good to remember these 3 steps in the event of an earthquake. Speaking of, did you feel that one recently? It reminded us, and now we want to remind you that earthquakes give no warnings. So our journey through the magazine begins with some tips for earthquake preparedness.
The country experienced, on average, in excess of 200 earthquakes per annum, which most of them are minor in intensity, having magnitude of less than 4.0. These seismic events has proven how vulnerable Jamaica is to earthquake and its secondary events.
In 2023, Jamaica recorded 345 localized earthquakes, but only 14 were felt.
This is as a result of that tectonic movement or that plate movement that we see being propagated in our region, more or less in the Northern Caribbean, where we find Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico. We tend to find that that activity itself is as a response to the plate motion that is recorded there.
The unpredictability of earthquakes makes it harder to plan for them.
While there are signs when we expect excessive rainfalls, we can tell you whether there is going to be flooding. Even the temperature we can tell you based on the science. But we can't tell you when or where the earthquake will occur.
And that's why Jamaicans need to be more aware of earthquakes and, as best as possible, be prepared at all times. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, intends to continue its drive to increase population awareness on safety measures and best practices.
This is being pursued through a multi-sectorial, multi-agency approach to strengthen disaster preparedness and risk reduction, in addition to increasing disaster resilience in preparing for, responding to, and ultimately recovering from adverse earthquake events.
Even with this, the Minister of Local Government and Community Development still questions how aware Jamaicans are about the dangers of earthquakes.
As a country, we need now to expand our thinking. We need to ensure that our program of information and education is not just in the month of January, but every week, every month of the year, the question of earthquake and the consciousness as a country that is going to be required to take us through.
The ODPEM has been tasked with getting the message out about earthquake awareness and preparedness.
Going into the schools and engaging the business communities, the private sector is very important. We have to expand the net of working relationships right across the communities. We need to take this message outside of the fine location of the terrain over and to go into communities, in inner city communities, where they might think about earthquake only when it happens.
And so the task of the mitigation agency is to make people aware and prepared for earthquakes all year long.
And over the remaining portion of this year, we just start the year, I have tasked the ODPEM to ensure that every month there are simple messages that can be played. Simple messages. You don't need anything that is sophisticated.
Minister Mackenzie wants students to help as well.
Young people is more driven to technology than many of us do. And these are areas that I believe we can use the messaging, using our school children to help to pass this message around the importance of educating ourselves around earthquake and all the associated effects that an earthquake.
In addition to making the public aware, other agencies, including the Jamaica Constabulary Force, are reviewing their earthquake policies.
In the Jamaica Constabulary Force, we do have an earthquake policy. And this is now under revision again, because we recognize that we really need to do more in respect to earthquake drills, practices, and so on.
The Jamaica Fire Brigade, too, will revisit some of its training programs among staff and community groups. The October 2023 earthquake has inspired changes.
Coming from our last experience, we realized, though, apart from responders, we do need more trained fire safety inspectors, because we were overwhelmed with requests to do damage assessment to see if the buildings are safe for persons to re-enter. So we are also training more fire safety inspectors.
But at the end of the day, the dissemination of information is vital.
There cannot be too much information out there in the public domain when it comes on to take necessary precautions around disaster.
We live in a climatic zone that makes us vulnerable to rainfall and earthquake, and we have to take responsibility for our vulnerability. Countries that achieve for their citizens take responsibility for their vulnerability. They don't leave themselves exposed or wait for other countries to come to their assistance. We became the first small country to launch a catastrophe bond, covered 3 hurricane season. We got support from the World Bank and from the governments of the UK, the US, and Germany, who paid 100% of the premiums for the first 3 years. And we'll always be grateful to them for that. And what we said to them in our pitch, when we went to pitch it to them, was that when it matures, we will, out of our own resources, continue to provide that protection for Jamaica. As night follows day, at some point, it's going to be necessary to have it. Just make sure that when that day comes, whoever is at the helm at the time has renewed this degree of protection. We're also creating a national disaster fund. We've already tabled the legislation in Parliament, and the idea is to capitalize that fund every year until it gets to about $10 billion. We intend to leave a legacy of national wealth, right? Where we have buffers put away for rainy days, like natural disasters and so on. And so in this budget, Madam Speaker, we are putting funds into that national disaster fund.
We are in a race against time, to reverse the effects of climate change by one simple action, which has positive and enduring effects. That's right, plant a tree, leave a lasting legacy. Join the My Tree Legacy promotion by planting a tree at your alma mater and share your work with us. Every tree counts. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away.
Thanks for staying with us. The Office of the Public Procurement Policy in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service recently hosted its inaugural Elevate Procurement Conference. It was held at the Montego Bay Convention Center. And if you couldn't make it in person, don't worry, we have got you covered.
Ticket for this event right now. This is the hottest seat in the Caribbean right now, and it's public procurement.
Welcome to Elevate.
Procurement is big business. Procurement is your business. It is the people's business. And at Elevate Procurement Conference, we are here to make sure that we elevate procurement to the level that it ought to be in our society. Now, because procurement is an ecosystem that involves hundreds of people across government, where the policy formulation is centered in the Ministry of Finance, but the policy implementation is distributed across government, it is necessary to get together every now and again.
We are working now not only to eradicate poverty, but to do it in a world that can sustain us, or as we say, on a livable planet. And this vision is being cascaded into different initiatives that the World Bank is doing.
We recognize that procurement can sometimes be a challenge, and the IDB has been supporting the region with loans and technical assistance for many years to enhance the efficiency, transparency, and accountability of public spending, thereby contributing to sustainable development and poverty reduction.
An effective public procurement program is also a critical tool in Jamaica's ongoing fight against corruption. It provides structured and accountable framework that mandates openness and competitive bidding, which are essential elements for fair play and integrity in handling public resources.
So guess what? Let the
music take your mind.
Is it working?
Just release and you will find you're gonna fly away. Glad you're going my way. Yeah, I love it when we come together.
Change gonna come to procurement. We're gonna cruise through procurement, right? Yes.
I want to say that at the outset, this is already one of the best procurement conferences I've ever attended. And I hope that we can cruise together. We have made leaps and strides in public procurement governance systems, in improving transparency and accountability in public procurement governance systems. Where we may have more to go is putting people, planet, and purpose at the root of our public procurement governance systems, instead of just treating it as an add-on to an already good system.
The public procurement process itself is an essential part of government operations in Jamaica, and it is enabling ministries, departments, and agencies to acquire the goods and services that we all require to execute functions more efficiently and also more effectively.
Over the next 5 years, we will see up to $1 trillion of public investment in central government, inclusive of PPPs and inclusive of public bodies. And we want to make sure that we can have the most efficient way of going about procuring the goods and services so we can deliver for the Jamaican people.
Let's elevate, innovate, and create. Give yourselves a hand.
Money are your problem. Car are your problem. Hey, whatever the problem is, just let it go, because stress is not a flex. A quick way to let go the stress is to find someone you can share your concerns with. And if you can't do that, then find other ways to release your stress, because stress is not a flex.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has embarked on a journey to help our youth let go the stress, installing wellness benches in schools across Jamaica, setting them up as safe spaces for communication about mental challenges. If you can't find a seat on the bench, get a hold of this exercise to help you alleviate the stress.
First of all, I want you to think about the worst thing that offends you and upset you and you're uncertain about. Just think about it. And then, after 3, I want to transfer the stress from the brain into the ball, and it has to show on the face. 1, 2, 3.
Up next, how we can play our part in developing Jamaica's aquaculture industry.
Fishing, the simple act of casting a line with a bait in the hopes of catching a nibble from a fish, has been an essential aspect of human civilization since hunter-gatherer times, and is one of the few food production activities that have survived from prehistory to modern day. Today, it has evolved to become yet another source of income for many, including our own fisherfolk. But how is fisheries regulated? Enter Jamaica's National Fisheries Authority (NFA), an agency under the umbrella of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. The NFA is entrusted with overseeing, regulating, and preserving the fisheries industry while working to improve the fishermen's fishing experiences and incomes. A critical focus area of the NFA has been aquaculture. This is the breeding, growing, and harvesting of fish, shellfish, and aquatic plants, or the act of farming in water. This means tilapia and oyster farmers are at the heart of Jamaica's aquaculture practice. In addition to regulating the sector and providing support, the NFA has also taken on the task of educating and encouraging Jamaicans about the benefits of tilapia farming as another approach to boosting local fish production and reducing stress on reef fish.
The reef fish, that is fish caught in the reefs in and around the Jamaica's shoreline, that population is decreasing. And our fishermen will tell you that when they go out, they have to go further and further out to get a decent crop of fish to sustain themselves. Tilapia has been grown in Jamaica since the 1940s. Its fortunes have ebbed and waned with time. And so here we are now trying to promote it, to push it, to get people to not only eat it, but to get people to also produce it.
As a result, the National Fisheries Authority has begun to employ different creative approaches to increase tilapia production and consumption. The upcoming cooking competition is one of those approaches which aims to highlight the different ways tilapia can be enjoyed. While the NFA continues working to expand aquaculture, effort is also being made to revitalize reef fishing. An initiative to train fishermen for pelagic or deep-sea fishing is part of that drive. A technique in which a fish aggregation device, FAD, is strategically placed to attract pelagic fish, allowing fishermen to fish beyond reefs, is also being explored as a more cost-effective method. The creation of fish sanctuaries has also been essential to the sustainability of our reef fish. Fish sanctuaries are no-fishing zones developed to conserve the bay's breeding grounds and fish habitats while progressively increasing the fish population in the neighboring regions.
We are seeking to develop production of shrimp, production of oysters, production of sea moss, or Irish moss as we call it here in Jamaica. And so there is a huge development towards the aquaculture industry because, as I said, the sea product is declining. Aquaculture is the saving grace, if you will, of Jamaica's fisheries endeavors because it has so much potential for growth and development.
And not only will aquaculture contribute to the improvement of fish habitats and the rebuilding of stocks of threatened or endangered species, it will also assist to feed the nation today and for the foreseeable future.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original.
Our Child Month focus continues, and this time we're paying attention to the littlest of little ones. Dealing with toddlers can sometimes be a daunting challenge, especially for first-time parents. Stay tuned as we explore expert techniques for navigating this exciting yet challenging stage of parenting. We'll hear from a licensed associate clinical psychologist who will share valuable insights and strategies for fostering healthy development and positive relationships with your toddlers.
Parenting can be very frustrating, and a lot of times people don't feel like they really have an answer to everything, and the truth is that that is the reality. But there are different things that people can try. We're not saying that any one thing works for everybody or that you'll even get the outcome that you want immediately. Especially when you're dealing with young children, you might have to try something several times before you see a particular result. So for example, if it is that you want a child to learn the difference between right and wrong, a lot of times in the past we use pain to teach that this is wrong, right? But we find that ultimately when you hit a child, what you're teaching them to do is when I don't like something, I should hit and I should lash out. What you want to try in a situation like that, you can try removing privileges. If there are things that the child might love to do, or even the age-old timeout, you know, where you say, listen, for this period, you have to sit by yourself, there's no communication, there's no talking, sit down and be still. Sometimes you have to physically just hold your child and help them to breathe through it, because you have some children where they have so much emotion and so much anger and they want to get it out, that it's really difficult for them to regulate it at such a young age. And so you have to physically hold them, put your hand on them, help them to breathe through it until they're calm. And with children, even if they don't understand necessarily the big concept of right and wrong, they can sometimes understand tone, right? And tone is not the same thing as lashing out and using certain words and calling them different names. Tone is being firm and saying, I do not want you on this. So for example, if a child keeps going off on something, you might have to take them off it 10 times, right? And continue to reinforce with the same tone and consistency that you do not want them on this. And also for younger children, sometimes you have to be the one to remove whatever it is that you don't want them to interact with from the environment, right? Because they're so young and so impulsive, you can't necessarily leave it to them to understand I shouldn't touch this thing, right? So that's how we deal with the younger children.
Everyone has the right to freedom of expression, even our children.
My voice matters. Every child has a right to speak up. It's not like they can stay quiet forever, and everything they have to say is important. So that's why I think my voice matters.
At school and at home, every child's voice should matter.
In this school, nobody is more and nobody is less.
Like teachers, my parents, they know who I am because they understand me and they know what I understand from what I don't.
I will encourage the students to do their best. I will say that even if they do not get something they want, they might get something even better.
When emotions are close to the surface and we contemplate on life, we will all remember the phrase, a child shall lead them.
My voice matters.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. We hope you enjoyed navigating the pages of nature and parenting with us. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another enlightening and informative show. Keep connected with us by visiting our website, gis.gov.jm, and our social media pages. On behalf of the entire production team here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do enjoy your weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.